So as of last month, the UN came out publicly denouncing the Catholic Church for all the child abuse and ass raping and anal fucking of all the children. Go figure. Apparently, if you ass rape little kids for a millennia or two, someone is actually going to get around to waggling their finger at you at some point. Not that the UN and them are actually apparently going to fucking do anything about it. But I digress. The UN accused the Vatican of placing the, quote, preservation of the reputation of the Church and the alleged offender over the protection of child victims. Which basically seems to me to be a nice way of saying that you people care more about looking moral than fucking being moral. But, you know, Christian goes without saying. So the Pope responded the other day, or, well, not the other day, but I just saw it the other day, but about a month ago, just after this, he responded, saying, the Catholic Church is perhaps the only public institution to have acted with transparency and responsibility. No one else has done more, yet the Church is the only one to have been attacked. I'm just going to give you all a minute and let that actually fully sink in. The Catholic Church is perhaps the only public institution to have acted with transparency and responsibility. Interesting side note. Just the other day in Time, there was an article about the Italian bishops who were saying that they actually don't have to report child abuse. Don't believe me? In fact, it was only in 2010 that the Vatican instructed bishops to report child abuse to the police, but only where they were required by law. Also in his little speech, Pope Francy-Pants went on to praise Pope Benedict, his predecessor, for being the first pope to apologize to the victims of abuse and to acknowledge it actually happened. He called his predecessor very courageous for opening up a path to changing the church. Yeah. Okay. Let's look at that for a minute. An 11-year-old German boy named Wilfred was taken on a vacation trip to the mountains by his priest. He was given alcohol, stripped naked, locked in a bedroom, and then forced to suck the dick of his confessor. The offending cleric was transferred from Essen to Munich for therapy by a decision of then Archbishop Joseph Ratzinger, a.k.a. Pope Benny the Dick. And assurances were given that he would no longer have children in his care. And it took pretty much no time before he was back among children doing pastoral work. Before being Pope Benny the Dick, he was also put in charge of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, which is what they now call the Inquisition, and was put in charge of the investigation of rape and torture of children. In other words, the exact same shit that Pope Francy-Pants is commending him for. And what did Ratzinger do? Well, Benny the Dick essentially started sending out memos warning the other cardinals and priests about the crime of reporting the rape and torture of children. Not of doing it, of reporting it. To quote, these charges were to be investigated, quote, in the most secretive way, the charges were to be investigated in the most secretive way, and everyone is to observe the strictest secret, which is commonly regarded as a secret of the Holy Office, and this was all to be done under the penalty of excommunication. So, in other words, you have all these pedophiles raping children, they get off scot-free. But if you tell anyone about it, Pope Benny says, you're out of here. Okay, so what was that Francy-Pants said about him? Oh yeah, he had been very courageous and opened up a path to changing the church's attitude towards predatory priests. Yeah, as far as I know, history says that protecting them and keeping them around and punishing people for telling for repeating this shit, that's not changing anything. That's what they've been doing for the last 2,000 fucking years. And since we're on this subject, we couldn't complete it without mentioning Bernard Law, a man who is now vilified, or has been vilified for years in Massachusetts, for systematically moving around pedophile priests, which he admits to fully, which is a really easy thing to admit to when there are huge stacks of documents and evidence saying that you did just that. In fact, among other things, Law admits to moving around John Gilgan, whatever, he's a pedophile, I don't care what his name is. But a priest who had raped at least 7 young boys in 1984, yet moved him to another parish, working with other boys. Other ministers like Paul Shanley, who went on trial for 10 charges of child rape and 6 counts of indecent assault and battery. There were 2 priests, one of whom was known to have molested boys, while the other supplied cocaine to a teenage lover. Moved around to a new parish. And you want to know the great thing? When the time came for Pope Benny the Dick to get elected, guess who was one of the church members who cast the deciding vote? Fucking hell. But yeah, this is apparently, according to Pope Francy-Pants, this is, apparently how the church has acted with transparency and responsibility, and no one has done more. Fuck. You know what? I agree with Pope Francy-Pants on this one. No one has done more to help these people in this issue. So you know what? Let's fire these fuckers and put no one in charge. Certainly can't be any worse than what we've got now. Fuck! What do you say, Hitch? You want to weigh in on this one?
In his comment, one of the few he's made, on the institutionalization of rape and torture and maltreatment of children in Catholic institutions, he has said, it's a very severe crisis which involves us, he said, in the following: in the need for applying to these victims the most loving pastoral care. Well, I'm sorry. They've already had that. And to say that this is the responsibility laid upon you by the horrific admission that you've already had to make is not accepting responsibility in any adult sense. When I say child abuse was institutional, how dare I say so? How can I prove it? How can I prove such a thing? Well, I'll ask His Grace, and I'll ask Anne Widdecombe. Where is Cardinal Bernard Law now? Where is he? Where is the Cardinal Archbishop of Boston, whose resignation was indignantly demanded, finally, by 50 members of the Church and by the whole laity of Massachusetts, who also demanded his prosecution for the promotion and protection and covering up and apology for and defense of people whose crimes against children are too revolting to specify. And he's not in the jurisdiction of Massachusetts now, as perhaps you know. He's the Supreme Vicar of the Church of Santa Maria Maggiore in Rome, personally appointed by the Pope to that as well as many other important sinecures. And in 2005, this man, a fugitive from justice and from complicity in the filthiest crime that it's possible for a human being to imagine, was one of those voting in conclave to decide who the next Vicar of Christ on earth will be.
It continues to amaze me at exactly how many people keep thinking that this new pope is some sort of great change for the better. No, he isn't. It's the exact same shit. All he does is just say the exact same shit that the Catholic Church has been saying for centuries, just in a different way. I mean, come on. Yeah, okay, sure. Is he an improvement over Ratzinger? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll grant you that. But Ratzinger spent decades and a large portion of his career covering up and shielding fucking pedophiles. It's not like he could be much worse. When the bar is set at didn't personally help child rapists, it's not that hard to limbo under it. Fuck. Oh well. One good thing is that at the very least, it's just the Catholic Church. I mean, it's not like you'd ever find the Protestants doing this shit. Ah, fuck. Okay, well, you know, at least the Jews are clean. Son of a bitch. Oh well. At least out of all the problems Islam has, this will not be no problem. Fuck! Well, there you have it. Do I really have to say any more? I mean, seriously. And the moderates, the fucking moderates, they actually wonder why we have a problem with this. You know? So, with all these moderates, okay, look, to the moderates out there, here's one thing I want you to take away from this, okay? You guys are always saying, you know, not all of us are like that. You know, my religion is different, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. If you're not all like that, if, you know, you're like the good little Christian, or the good little Jew or Muslim or whatever, then where are you while this shit is happening? Because the religion that you belong to is being used to protect and cover up pedophiles. Okay? Systematically, this happens. So, why are you supporting the church that is covering this shit up? I'll see you later.